Hey, good evening, TerraNova. How you guys doing? In the parking lot, online. So glad that you're joining us. Hey, wherever you are, I want to invite you to stand up. We're going to sing together as we start tonight. It's a beautiful weekend, and we're together. We're going to sing and celebrate. Here we go. I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my tomb till I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Your freezing saved my soul. Oh, and your freedom's all that I know. Now your freedom is all that I know. The old me knew Jesus when I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Rescue, my sin was heavy, the chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan, and you called me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing, and your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you called my name, hey, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name. everything is embers, then my heart remembers that you are here with me in the middle of the storm. When everything gets scattered, oh, my heart will not be shattered. You are here with me. Whenever I call out your name, your answer always is the same. There's truth that comes and it sets me free. You are here with me in the middle of the battle. Oh, this song will be my war cry, so my heart cannot deny you are here with me in the middle of the wilderness, surrounded by loneliness. When my soul cannot find rest, you are here with me. Whenever I call out your name, your answer always is the same. This truth that comes and sets me free. You are here with me. This truth that comes and sets me free. You are here with me. Whenever I call out your name, your answer always is the same. This truth comes, oh, and it sets me free. You are here with me. Whenever I call out your name, your answer always is the same. This truth that comes and sets me free. You are here with me. You are here. You're here with me. God, tonight we are so grateful that you are here with us, God, riding out the storms of life, the storms of 2020. God, you have never left our side. You have never given up on us. You have never given up on your plans for us, God. Your plans for this church, your plans for the church, God. We're so grateful to be a part of what you're doing in the earth. We're so grateful, God, to be activated into your mission for your kingdom, for truly we are citizens of your kingdom and not of this nation and not of this planet, God. But we're following you and serving you, building our whole lives around who you are and your love for us and your love for our neighbors, God, to be right in the middle of your will every day, every week, God. Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you, oh, we live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. And I will build my life around your love. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. And I will put my trust in you alone. And I will not be shaken. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. And I will put my trust in you alone. And one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. And I will live my life upon your love. It is a foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken.
I love singing those words as a reminder that even in this season where it feels like all of the ways that we or I might typically find security in have been shaken by our circumstances, that we get to build our foundation in the Lord. Like, that is our option. And we get to live in security because of that, despite what is happening in the world around us. And even beyond that, we get to be that love to the world around us. We get to point the world around us that is caught up in anxiety and fear to that firm foundation that we have in God. So I don't know about you, but I am grateful for that this evening. So welcome to TerraNova. My name is Oksana. Thank you so much for joining us this weekend, whether you're here in person right now in our parking lot or whether you're tuning in online. We're so grateful for another opportunity to gather however we're able to. If you are here in the parking lot, you may have gotten a program as you were walking in that has a Connect card on there that you can rip off and fill out, or you might use our app. That's a great place to fill out the Connect card as well. If you're tuning in online through Facebook, that is pinned in our comments, or you can find that on our watch page. We just really value that Connect card as a way of being able to connect with you and being able to know what is happening in your life. So right now we're going to take a moment to fill that out. If you guys are in the parking lot, you can go ahead and sit down. You can find that Connect card. It's either on your app or in that paper that you walked in. Again, this is a way that we can know what's going on with you. So if you have a prayer request, go ahead and leave that on there. You can give us an update on what is going on in your life. You can just let me know where your heart has been at this week. I feel like there's just so much going on in my own life and in the lives of the people I know right now. So if you just need to tell someone what's on your heart right now, that's a space where you can do that. So go ahead and take a moment to fill that out. Just so you know, if you fill out that Connect card today, whether the physical copy or whether online, we're going to donate $2 for each Connect card to our neighbors over here, South County Outreach. If you didn't know, we are neighbors with a food bank, and they serve hundreds of families in South Orange County, and we love being able to be neighbors with them and support them in whatever ways we can. So you can fill out the Connect card, and one, you're letting us know how we can care for you, but two, you're also supporting our neighbors. So what a great and easy way to do that. So go ahead and fill out your Connect card. If you're doing that on the app, you might also see a link to be able to give financially. We just are continuing to be so grateful for the generosity of this community and also for the opportunity for us as a church community, as TerraNova, to be able to steward that generosity and to give not just locally, but all around the world as well. So if you're able to continue giving right now, the app is a great place to do that. If you're here in person, there's envelopes in the back if you would prefer that. You can also give online. We just want to make that as easy as possible for all of us to be able to keep giving if we can. As you are taking care of those things, that Connect card and giving, I want to take a moment to talk about something that we really, really value as a community, and that is our life groups. We are reaching the end of our signups for our fall life groups. We have groups that are starting in just a few days, but the great news is it's not too late to sign up for a group. So if you came in today, you may have gotten this brochure right here. This has all our life groups. You can find them through the app. You can find them online. We have so many different groups being offered this fall. You can take a look at what we have, but I personally have found so much value in being in a group, and also I get to lead a group of high school ladies every week. And so from that experience and then being in a group myself, I just have come to recognize that no matter what stage of life you're in, whether you are in high school or whether you have gotten older, wherever you're at, there's a value in having people that are going to come alongside you, that are going to be able to pray for you specifically, that are able to hold you accountable, that are able to check in on you when you happen to miss group. I just feel like there is something different about being able to grow with people on a deeper level. And so we love the opportunity to be in community, and we want to encourage our community to do that for yourselves. And so again, all the groups are listed in here or online. You can take a look. There are some groups that are happening via Zoom, if that's your comfort level. There's groups that are meeting outside. There's groups for men and women and young adults. We have a wide variety of groups, and we value this so much. We're actually going to take a few moments to have you take a look right now and maybe see if there's a group that you would like to sign up for. So we're going to have some music play in the background. You can go ahead, take a look. If you don't have this brochure, we'll make sure you get one. You can just wave your hand at us and we'll get you one of those. You can look online or the app. And if you've already signed up for a group, take these few moments to invite somebody to join the group with you. So we're going to have that music play right now. So go ahead and take a moment, look at those groups, and sign up for one if you haven't already. Thank you.
Well, hey, welcome to y'all. If you're tuning in online, thank you so much for joining us today online. If you are here live in the parking lot, it is wonderful to see you. You look marvelous. We are in part 3 of a series we're calling The Politics of Jesus. Is a series that's all about politics and Jesus. Yeah, you're starting to pick up on that. By the way, I just want to say if you're still working on that life group brochure or trying to pick a life group or sign up for a life group, please go ahead and do that. Ignore me. That's way more important. But before we jump in today for this series, I want to let you know in 3 weeks, on October 17th and 18th, in 3 weekends, we're going to begin a brand new series on a document found in the New Testament called the Book of Acts, or sometimes called the Acts of the Apostle, that's all about the early church and the beginnings of the Jesus movement. And we're calling the series, how's this for clever? What is church? Yeah, I know, right? You're amazed. What is church? And as we kick off this series, get this, we are actually going to be moving back inside for all 3 of our services, Saturday at 5 p.m., and Sundays now live and online, 9:30 and 11 a.m. I'm excited about that, but it's been fun, hasn't it? How many of you, if you've been able to join us in the parking lot, it's been fun, hasn't it? It's been great. And in fact, it's been so much fun that we're thinking we just might have to do this again, even if we don't have to do this again, because it's just kind of a cool, different thing to do. But I really want to extend just some gratitude and some thanks to all the people who've been making this possible, for a crew that's been showing up every Saturday morning at 7 a.m., setting it up, people who are here throughout the day, our guest services, our Supernova Kids teams, our band, our sound teams, and a bunch of you who've been hanging after the service as it's getting darker and darker to put everything away, and I am just so grateful. Can you just give all those people round? Yeah, it's huge thanks. Now, between now and 3 weekends from now, October 17th and 18th, we got a lot of things we're working on. We're talking a lot about next gen, high school, junior high, 5th and 6th grade, kids classes, how we will align or maybe won't be able to align certain things and do some things a little bit differently. We're talking about even extending some kind of open air possibility going through that. And so there's a lot that we're going to be working on. Stay tuned. There will be a lot more communication between now and the kickoff of this brand new series and the moving back indoors on October 17th and 18th. But let me begin today with a question, a little show of hands thing. How many of you are familiar with something called the fundamental attribution error? Anybody should show of hands at home too. I think I see that hands. Okay, a couple of you, yeah, fundamental attribution error. The fundamental attribution error is a cognitive bias about how we tend to attribute other people's negative behaviors to internal character factors and flaws in them, but our own negative behaviors to external circumstantial factors. So you get that? We have a tendency to ascribe other people's negative behaviors to character and our own negative behaviors to circumstance. So for example, if you have a coworker who shows up late a lot to meetings, you're like, they're so lazy and they're irresponsible, they just need to get more organized. But when you show up late, you never look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am just so irresponsible. I am stupefyingly, humbling, irresponsible. I need to get a grip on my calendar. No. You say, oh, I was just so busy and I got distracted because I was helping the kids with this thing and the traffic was bad. I'm actually very responsible. That's why I'm late. And we all have this tendency, right? The fundamental attribution error. Now, that describes a cognitive bias that we all have to interpret and explain our own flaws with a wide bandwidth for error and explanation, but to interpret and explain other people's flaws and as character defects and intentional. Now, obviously, this is something that we don't just do interpersonally and relationally throughout the week, which we all do, but it actually is describing something that is happening nationally and publicly and politically all the time. There is a tendency to filter our side of whatever debate that is going on with a wide bandwidth of error and explanation and context, and if you understood. But their side, those Democrats, they are just so corrupt. Those Republicans, they are such liars. They are fear mongers. Those Democrats, they are anarchists. They hate our country. They're trying to tear it down brick by brick. Those Republicans are racists. They don't care about the poor. They don't care about justice. Those people have a character defect, but when our side, right, when our side blows it, does or says something inappropriate or just straight up wrong, it's like, well, you got to understand, and maybe you took that out of context, and maybe even the other side deserved it, but when their side blows up, there's no excuse. There they go again, the fundamental attribution error. Now, that's how people who have taken sides behave. But Jesus shows his followers a completely different way, a third way, if you will. And we said it last week, there is this tendency for Christians to just wrap Jesus around our own partisan political views, to filter Jesus through our political views instead of the other way around. And when you do that, it's so obvious and so amazing that he's on your side, right? Jesus is red, Jesus is blue. It's amazing how Jesus is just like you. But as we said last week, and this was our big idea last week, Jesus did not come to take sides. He came to take, what was it? Over. He did not come to take sides. He came to take over. He came to be the king of a completely different kind of kingdom, a right side up kingdom in an upside down world that is neither right nor left, and certainly not religious. Jesus did not come to take sides in our upside down kingdoms. He came to be king, to establish his own country, which exists not against or in place of the countries or nation states of our world, but within and around them and above them. Now, there's a great story from the life of Jesus that illustrates this, that has a lot to say to all of us during this season. It's found in John chapter 18. So if you have your Bible, I invite you to turn to John chapter 18. If you have the TerraNova app, take that out. You can follow along on that as well. There are 4 biographies of Jesus' life found in the documents we call the New Testament: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. John chapter 18. It's at the end of Jesus' life, leading up to his crucifixion. Jesus had been arrested the night before by the very powerful religious Jerusalem elite that I introduced to you last week, known as the Sadducees. And they controlled the city of Jerusalem, and they controlled the temple, and they've arrested him. They have he's been beaten numerous times, dragged through this illegal trial in which they broke pretty much every law in their own books. They're trying to find any excuse to kill him. So there is a predetermined verdict, and the trial drags all the way through the night. It is now early the next morning. John chapter 18, verse 28. Then the Jewish leaders took Jesus from Caiaphas' house. Now, Caiaphas is the high priest. He is like the lead dog of the Sadducees tribe, their political party. And they take him from his house to the palace of the Roman governor by now, It was early morning. The Roman governor was a guy named Pilate, Pontius Pilate. We know this from history as well. He had been governor by this time of Judea, which is the southern part of Israel where Jerusalem was, and the area just north of it, Samaria, for about 7 years, and he couldn't stand it. He hated it. He wanted out of there so bad. We know that from history as well. And he hated the Jews. He was an anti-Semite. He was a racist, especially the Jewish leaders. We told this story last week where a few years before this story, Pilate had brought the military standards, the flags of the Roman legion that was stationed there in Jerusalem, brought them into the city. That's what happened in every single city in the Roman Empire. That's what happened. They carry these flags into the city, and the Jewish people were so upset by images being in their city that men showed up from all around, thousands and thousands of men kneeling in the courtyard in front of his home, bearing the neck, saying, "You will have to behead every single one of us right here if you don't take those standards, those flags out of the city." And get this, the emperor backed them and made Pilate take him out. And Pilate was so humiliated. He was infuriated. He could not believe that the empire is backing down to this tiny little nation. And he never got over that. He hated them. There's all this mutual animosity between these two groups as they come bringing or dragging Jesus to his house. Now, the next statement, you got to take in the irony of this. I mean, you just really got to appreciate this next statement. But by now, John tells us it was early morning. And to avoid ceremonial uncleanness, they did not enter the palace, the Sadducees, because they wanted to be able to eat the Passover later that night. So, okay, wait a minute, let me get this. So you can't go into his house because you got this religious thing that you need to do later, so you need him to come outside and figure out how you're going to kill this innocent man you're trying to execute. So so going into your house, Pilate, you have to come out here because, going into your house will make us religiously dirty because you're dirty and your house is dirty. And we have this, we need to stay clean with God, so we need you to come out here to help us figure out how we're going to kill this innocent man we're trying to execute. It's crazy, right? You're like, did that happen? But see, that's what religion does. Religion causes us to draw lines in these weird fake places where we think that somehow because we're obeying this rule, we can be like vertically okay with God while we're filled with animosity horizontally, and somehow we're still good. And Jesus talked about this kind of hypocrisy all the time. Here he's standing there as it's going on. So Pilate came out to them, which must annoy him so much. He comes out to them because they won't go in his house, and asked, "What charges are you bringing against this man?" Because the trial's about to begin. Okay, let's hear the charges. Now, Pilate already knows all about Jesus. Pilate, the Roman soldiers have been keeping a keen eye. I mean, they have been on high alert all week long since the Sunday before, when Jesus rode into the city on the back of a donkey with crowds and parades of people cheering him and waving palm branches in the air and singing the songs of Zion. It's like this intense, like messianic moment. And they have been on high alert. They have watched every move Jesus has made all week long. Pilate already knows about Jesus, but now he's about to meet him. So it's like, okay, so what are the charges that you're bringing against this man? Their answer is so great. Their answer, it just further betrays their hypocrisy. They're like, charges? We don't need no stinking charges. How's this for a legal argument? If he were not a criminal, we would not be handing him over to you. Duh. If he wasn't guilty, we wouldn't have arrested him. What do you mean charges? You need specific, you're talking about specific charges. Now, Pilate, this does not sit well with him. He's like, really? That's how this is going to go? That's what this is what you've got for me? And so he says, fine. If you're going to play that game, he says, take him yourselves and judge him by your own laws. No doubt insulted by their reply. But here's the thing. Pilate knows what they want. Pilate knows they want to kill him. And Pilate knows they can't without Pilate, because they don't have the power to do so, which is what happens next. He's just setting them up. And so they're like, but wait, as they object. But we have no right to execute anyone. They want to kill him, but they've lost the right to do so because the Romans held the right of execution solely to themselves. We have no right, which is, of course, music to Pilate's ears. So he's like, Oh, that's right. Oh, you've lost the power to enforce your own laws. What a pity. You and your little country. Oh, I've forgotten all about that. And then Pilate does something that probably messed with him even more. Pilate turns around and goes back in his own house where they can't or won't go, and he summons Jesus to come with him into the house. So now they're left outside wondering. Can you just imagine, like, wait a minute, you're going in there to hold the trial? Like, what's going on in there? Is Jesus going to do that thing he does where he wins people over? Like he's got that Jedi mind trick and he wins people over like he's won our whole nation over, like he won some of our own guards over 2 days ago when we sent them to arrest him and they came back without him and said, wow, that guy teaches like no one we've ever heard before. What's he going to do? What's he doing in there? And how is this slipping out of our fingers so quickly? Pilate goes back inside the palace, summons Jesus to come with him, and now in private, he asks Jesus the question that shows he actually did know the charges against him, and the charges were not religious. They were political. The conversation that takes place next is a political conversation, and Pilate asks him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Which is exactly what the Messiah was supposed to be. The anointed one meant the anointed king. Are you, or do you think you are the king? Because see, a king, even a would-be king, a wannabe king, is most definitely a threat to the empire and to the emperor himself. Are you the king of the Jews? And Jesus answers, as he so often does. He does this all the time, where he just takes things to another level. You think you're having this conversation and he's having this other one, and Jesus answers by asking his own question now. Is that your idea? Is that your own idea? Or did others talk to you about me? In other words, do you personally want to know the answer? Are you personally trying to figure this out? Or are you just parroting the charges of the Sadducees outside? Is this personal for you? Now that is too close for comfort for Pilate. And his defensive reaction actually reveals his contempt, his racism, his anti-Semitism. And his reaction is, am I a Jew? Like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Personal? You think I have some stake in this thing? Am I a Jew? He replied, your own people and your own chief priests, your chief holy men handed you over to me. What is it that you've done? I mean, to make them so mad. So Jesus goes back to the original question. And he says to him, well, you asked me if I'm a king. My kingdom is not of this world. My kingdom is not of or from this world, which, by the way, does not mean his kingdom is not in this world or active in this world. In fact, this very language is language that Jesus has already used in John's story of Jesus' life to talk about us as his followers. And Jesus has said, we are not of this world, but we are very much in this world for good. He says, my kingdom isn't of the world, and it's not like the kingdoms of this world. When you ask me if I'm the king of the Jews, see, means you're kind of assuming that my country, my kingdom, is like all of the other kingdoms you've known. Geographical nation states with physical boundaries to be defended and ethnic lines of us versus them. But oh, Pilate, this new thing God is doing, it's not like that. This new covenant he's making with all of humanity, not just one nation. This new country, this new kingdom, it's so much bigger. It transcends all of those nation boundaries and geographical boundaries and ethnic and social and ideological boundaries. It's so much bigger. Case in point, he says, case in point, if my kingdom were of this world, my servants would fight like the servants of kingdoms in this world to defend me, to prevent my arrest by the Jewish leaders. If my kingdom was anything like the kingdoms of this world, my followers would defend and further my kingdom with violence and force, because that's exactly what the followers of political leaders in the kingdoms of this world do all day long, every day. They use violence, verbal and physical, violence and force and aggression to expand their agenda, to grow their power, and to defeat their opponents. But my kingdom, this is huge, is not like that. It's not of this world. And then he says, my kingdom is actually from another place, or literally, I love this, not from this side. My kingdom isn't from this side. It's from the other side. And on the other side, everything is opposite the way that it is here because everything here is so messed up. This kingdom that comes from the other side is a kingdom where the king gives his life for his subjects. It's a kingdom where love, even love for enemies, even love for opponents, hello, and that, by the way, that's you, Pilate, where love is the norm, the rule. Where people who've always been first in their lives willingly, happily place themselves last so that people who are last can go first. It's the kingdom where the greatest of all is the servant of all, and where power and privilege and advantage are always leveraged for the benefit of those who don't have it, not for the benefit of those who do. It is a different kind of kingdom. My kingdom isn't from this side, Pilate. It is a right side up kingdom in an upside down world. It's not like what you're thinking. It's not like what you're thinking, not like this, Pilate. No, Pilate's confused because he has no context for any of that. But clearly, Jesus is saying he's a king, right? So okay, I don't know what that was, but you are a king then. That's what you're saying, says Pilate. And this, again, Jesus puts it right back on and puts the words back in his mouth. Well, you say that I'm a king. Pilate's like, I do? I did? I think maybe I did. I don't. Yeah, you say that I'm a king. In fact, the reason I was born. Let me develop this a little further for you now in a different way. Let me define my kingship and my kingdom in a slightly different way now. See, in fact, the reason I was born and came into this world is to testify to the truth. Now, in that moment, he takes us as his readers all the way back to his opening chapter. John takes us back to his opening chapter where John says that the Word of God became flesh and blood and lived physically here among us, full of grace and truth. And truth is this huge idea for John in his biography of Jesus. In fact, it's in John's story of Jesus that we get these famous lines like, I am the way, the truth, and the life, Jesus says. Or in another place, Jesus says, here's one that's maybe even more famous. See if you can finish it. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. It's famous, right? That's where it comes from. Truth. In fact, truth in John's story of Jesus' life is often linked with light. With light that illuminates, that exposes, that reveals everything, that shows what's real and what's fake. Truth and light, it's about reality. It's about what's actually going on. In fact, earlier in John's story, in chapter 3 of John's story of Jesus, he's introducing Jesus to us. And he has this line where he says, here's the problem. Here's the verdict, he says. Light has come streaming into our world, but men and women everywhere ran for cover. We ran for the shadows, ran for the shade, ran for darkness because the light was a little bit uncomfortable and we didn't want to be that exposed. But then he says this, but whoever lives by the truth comes into the light. Whoever lives by the truth comes into the light. So that it may be plainly seen that what they have done has been done in the sight of God. When people live in truth and in light, they live in the wide open and they take it as it comes. I've come into this world, Jesus says, to testify to truth, to tell the world the truth. Pilate, a much bigger truth than you've ever considered. The truth about life and God and humanity and history and the arc of history, where it's going, the truth about the way things are and the way things should be and someday could be. It's the whole truth, and it's the truth that confronts every single human being and every single human institution and casts light on us all equally. It's a truth that equally confronts the pious, self-righteous Pharisees and the violent, self-righteous zealots, and the entrenched elite Sadducees, and the racist Roman governors. It's a light that, in truth, that equally confronts Democrats and Republicans and libertarians and librarians, the independent and the indecisive. It equally confronts Trump and AOC and Biden and me. It's a light that reveals things for what they really are. The good and the bad, and the ugly, and the beautiful. It's the truth. It's the light. And that's why I've come into the world, to bring this truth. And then he adds this line, it's so rich. Again, he's just making it personal for Pilate, who happens to be the Roman governor, who is the figurehead of oppression of the nation of Israel. He just makes it personal for him in this moment. And he says, and everyone on the side of truth Everyone on the side of truth listens to me. There's an implicit question in that. Pilate, are you on the side of truth? I mean, you're judging me, but are you on the side of truth? Are you interested in truth, the bigger truth, the whole truth? And I think this story pushes that question out to every single one of us. Are you? Like, are you really on the side of truth, the whole truth, wherever that truth takes you? Am I? Because listen, I have my own cognitive biases. I have my own fundamental attribution error. I got my side-taking issues. I got all of that too. Am I on the side of truth? Or am I just hoping the truth will take sides with me? Huh? And once again, I love this. All of a sudden, Pilate's on the spot again. He's like, who is this guy? And how does this keep happening to me? Like, I'm judging him, and why is it that I keep being the one that feels exposed? And so Pilate fumbles with his words a little bit, and he's like, truth. Well, what is truth? And then he excuses himself to go talk to the guys outside that he hates. Now, the story continues, but we're going to press pause right there before we wrap up and surface a couple of big ideas from just this part of the conversation that I think apply to us in such an important way in this season and in our politics. And the first one is this. The first big idea to surface from this conversation for me is this. Jesus' kingdom is not of this world. Jesus' kingdom is not of this world. Doesn't mean it's not in this world. It most certainly is in and works within, but it is not of this world. And that means all kinds of important things for our politics, for the politics of those who claim to follow him as their king and belong to his kingdom. For one thing it means is this. It means that his kingdom cannot be equated with any kingdom in this world. Not, for example, Israel, which is actually the point of his conversation with Pilate. It's one of the shocking things that come out of this conversation. Are you king of the Jews? That's not actually not the way you think. It's a different kind of kingdom. Not the Holy Roman Empire, not France or Spain or England in their day, and not, don't hate me for this, us. Not the USA. We are not his kingdom. We are not his country. His kingdom's bigger than that. It transcends all of those political and national and geographic and ethnic and racial and linguistic and ideological borders. It transcends them all. It's not of this world, which further means that to belong to his kingdom is to be the citizen or a citizen of a kingdom that isn't of this world. Not like that. It's to belong to a kingdom that has its own politics, its own way of ordering things that is so often the opposite of the way things are here. And if we identify first and foremost as citizens of that kingdom, embracing that DNA and that constitution really as our own, that raises some important questions about our dual citizenship, doesn't it? Or as Peter, who was one of the first followers of Jesus, said about us, he said, we are foreigners and exiles here in this world because our citizenship belongs somewhere else. We are foreigners and exiles here. Or we might use the word expat or expatriate. Expat, you familiar with that word? You know what an expat is? An expat is someone who's a citizen of one country but lives in another. So like I'm an American, but I'm living as an expat in France. Or I'm a Christian and I'm living as an expat in America. And that raises some really important questions about this dual citizenship that we have. How do I, if this is even the right word, balance that? That's an important question. And the answer is, come back next week for part 4 of the politics of Jesus. You are not going to want to miss next week. But that's the first big idea. This kingdom that we are part of, it's not of this world. The second big idea comes from how Jesus decided to kind of redefine his kingship for this Roman politician, that Jesus' kingdom is a kingdom of truth-telling. His kingdom is a kingdom of truth-telling, and therefore, the citizens of his kingdom are always on the side of truth, testifying to the truth, the whole truth. They tell the whole truth. The truth about God, the truth about life, the truth about themselves, the truth about the whole world. They believe that more truth means more freedom, and that to live in the light, to live in that wide open, as uncomfortable as it might feel at times, to be fully known, warts and all, and loved, is freeing. It's freedom. And so, his kingdom is a kingdom of truth. It's a kingdom of truth-telling. Now, 3 really quick observations about what it might mean for us to be truth tellers. And these are decisions that we must make. And the first one is this. Our truth-telling is spin-free. It must be. Our truth-telling is spin-free. It is nonpartisan. And I think of it this way. As citizens of another country, we, above all others, as citizens who belong to another country, who are should be so filled with that perspective, so filled with that DNA, that vision, those values, that way of being, that would give us a kind of objectivity and distance that maybe no one else might have to the feuds and politics of the kingdom on this side. Does that make sense? As citizens of another kingdom, wouldn't we have a kind of objectivity even when we disagree with one another, that we just see it through this third way? Wouldn't that be the case? And because we are on the side of truth, as Jesus says, we aren't trying to spin the truth to fit our side. We're just not going to do that. Because we're on the side of truth, we're not going to spin the truth to fit our side. And we are as interested, this is so huge to me, you and I are as interested in how the truth and the light reveals what is good and hopeful and what is unhealthy and potentially destructive on our own side of whatever divide we're having, whatever argument or feud at home or elsewhere. We are as interested in how truth and light might reveal and expose what is good and hopeful and what is unhealthy and potentially destructive on our own side of the fence, as we are in how that truth and light might expose what is good and maybe hopeful and potentially unhealthy or even destructive on the other side. When we tell the truth, it is spin-free. We aren't trying to get the truth on our side. That is such an important thing for us to decide about the way we will tell truth. The second observation about our truth-telling, it's spin-free. Number 2, our truth-telling is life-giving. Our truth-telling is life-giving. You see, Jesus' truth was always ultimately, and I'll say ultimately, it was always ultimately good news. Ultimately, it was always good news, and it was always freeing. And so we tell the truth in such a way that it is always good news, and it always is life-giving. We tell the truth in such a way as to never tear down or destroy, to never attack or defeat. We aren't trying to win anything with the truth. The truth is not a weapon in our arsenal. No. We want to tell the truth because we're followers of Jesus and we're trying to be just like him. We want to tell the truth in such a way that new possibilities for human life and human flourishing come into view. We want to tell the truth in such a way that new possibilities for human relationships, including our relationship and human community, comes into view. We want to tell the truth in such a way that new possibilities for social arrangements come into view because we believe that God's truth, though it is at times uncomfortable, I can testify to that, it is ultimately always full of grace. And that makes it good news, and that makes it life-giving. And so our truth-telling is life-giving. It is spin-free. And the third one is so important. Our truth-telling is humbly subjective. Our truth-telling is always humbly subjective. We accept the fact that whatever truth we think we have a grip on is limited and subjective. I'm telling the truth as I understand it. I'm telling it as I understand it, the part of it I can see, which, by the way, does not mean there's no such thing as objective truth. I believe unquestionably there is. It's just that it turns out my grasp on objective truth is so feeble and fallible and limited at times. The Apostle Paul himself once said, now, like right now on this side of eternity, I know in part. He says, I see as through a mirror dimly. It's a dim reflection. I know just a little bit, then I will know fully, just as I am fully known. And because I believe that about myself, because I know that my truth or my grasp of truth is limited by my own experience and my own exposure, I am so humble about it. I'm open to hearing and learning perhaps another way of seeing. And so we say with all humility, never with violence or force, verbal or otherwise, or aggression, we say with all humility, as followers of Jesus, this is the way we see the world around us. This is the way we see it. We may be wrong. We are certainly fallible. But this is what we see, and we see it through the filter, as best we can, of the life and the message, the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus, whom we follow. Now, we're going to pick it up there next week, but let me just end with a question. Can you imagine? Just imagine with me for a moment. Can you imagine how different the history of the world would have been for the last 2,000 years if everyone who called themselves Christians had actually paid enough attention to this interesting conversation between Jesus and a Roman governor and taken these two big ideas to heart? Can you imagine how different our history would be? But let me make it even a little more personal. Can you imagine with me, just for a moment, how different the political environment of America would be right now if every person who called themselves a Christian, which many Americans do. By the way, if you're not sure you would call yourself a Christian, you don't know what you believe about God or faith or Jesus or any of this, you get a hard pass. You get to step back and go, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to spin it to win it. I'm going to use whatever truth or weapon in my arsenal to crush and defeat because y'all are evil and I'm good. Like, you can do that. You honestly can. That's you. But if you call yourself a Christian, in fact, even if you don't, wouldn't you agree that if everyone who did call themselves Christians, everyone who said they follow Jesus, if they held these two big ideas out in front of whatever political leanings or inclinations they might have, that we are citizens of another kingdom, it's not of this world, and we will tell the truth and will tell it spin-free and in a way that is life-giving and humbly subjective, wouldn't you agree that the political environment in our country today would be very, very different? So I say, let's do that. We can't change everybody else, but what if we did? What if we just decided, that's what I'm going to do? And what if we decided that we will come back next week for part 4 of the series, The Politics of Jesus. Will you close in prayer with me? Heavenly Father, I know that this ruffles feathers. It hits all of us in a very different place. For some of us, we may not even been able to hear parts of it. And so I just pray, because I know your Spirit is way bigger than any fallible words I might say, but I just pray for every single one of us, you would give us the ears to hear the part we needed to hear. You would maybe shine a little of that light, a little of that truth into the corners of our own thoughts and lives. I just pray that you would help all of us to hear what we needed to hear, and that you would give us the grace to receive it and the power to embrace what we need to do and move forward just for our own lives. And we pray for our nation during this incredibly divisive time, and especially for your followers, that we would show the world around us what it looks like to follow Jesus even when we disagree. I pray that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, John. What a great word, great reminder that in a world where there's so many nations and kingdoms that are just really in turbulence, is that we are members of an unshakable kingdom. And it's a kingdom, again, that's all about truth. And the great news is that the more truth, the more freedom, and that we get a chance to walk in freedom as we walk with Jesus. Hey, as we wind things down, I wanted to just give you just a few words, whether you're online or you're on site. We'd love to have you get us that Connect card that Oksana talked to you about. We'll go ahead and donate $2 for South County Outreach for every card that we get, so that you could be working on that. Now, I know that if you're here on site, we've given you some paper things. The Life Group brochure is one of them. We'd love to get that brochure from you. We'd love to get the Connect card, paper card. There are blue bins in the back, and you just go ahead and just throw all the paperwork in there, and we'll sift through it, and we'll be good to go. Also wanted to encourage you to continue this journey of generosity that we're on by means of the offering. You can give using the TerraNova app. You can give online. You can also mail a check, and we'll be golden with that. And then we'll look forward to next time as we jump in to part 4 of the Politics of Jesus. Looking forward to that. Thanks again so much for being here and tuning in.